In today's video, we will talk about prosecutors in the American criminal justice system. Hello, and welcome to Ask Professor Price. I have been a lawyer for more than 35 years and a full-time professor for more than 10 years. People studying law or criminal justice, or working in the legal or law enforcement fields, need to know a little bit about what prosecutors do in the American criminal justice system. You might think that you know what prosecutors do from watching TV shows, but the media often distorts and misrepresents the criminal justice system to make it appear more dramatic for the ratings. Today we will talk about the reality, not about the spin. The reality is, prosecutors have total discretion about who will get charged with a crime and whose case will get prosecuted. Prosecutors have broad discretion about which cases they try to settle, called plea bargain, to dismiss, or take to trial. Federal court prosecutors are known as the U.S. Attorney General, and individual U.S. attorneys serve under the U.S. Attorney General. The Solicitor General is one of the highest ranking officers in the Department of Justice, also called the DOJ, and the Criminal Division of the DOJ formulates criminal law enforcement policies in federal criminal cases. U.S. attorneys get appointed by the President after the consent of the Senate. U.S. attorneys are the ones who actually prosecute the criminal cases for the federal government. So if you were to go inside a federal courthouse and walk into one of the courtrooms, the lawyer you see representing the federal government is a U.S. attorney. Also, U.S. attorneys represent the United States in civil cases when the U.S. is a plaintiff or defendant, and sometimes they engage in certain types of debt collection for the federal government. State prosecutors include the individual state's attorney general, for example, the Attorney General of New York, the Attorney General of California. And then there's the local chief prosecutor, and usually that's at the county level. And then the individual prosecutors are the local prosecutors. There are certain ethical concepts that are important when considering prosecutors. First of all, they represent both the police and the victims. Prosecutors have absolute immunity from civil liability for the exercise of their prosecutorial functions. In other words, they can't be sued in civil court for doing their job. They have qualified immunity when they're not acting as an advocate for the government. Ethical issues for prosecutors include how much information they're going to release to the public and when, the exercise of their discretion, in other words, which cases they decide to prosecute, what charges will be filed, conflicts of interest. They need to make sure that they don't get involved in a case that might involve a conflict of interest. For example, a relative of theirs might be a witness or a victim or a defendant. And the best practice, of course, is always to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. And another ethical issue for prosecutors is the disclosure of evidence. Which evidence do they want to disclose to the defense lawyer? Which evidence do they want to use in the trial? And which evidence do they want the jury to see? Please hit subscribe and the thumbs up icon if you enjoy this video. Also, please feel free to share this video with people you think could benefit from the information. YouTube uses the number of subscribers, likes, and shares in its algorithm to determine which videos show up in search results, and the higher these videos are in the results, the more people I can help. Thank you. Let's briefly discuss a few key cases that involve prosecutorial ethics. Way back in 1935, in the case of Berger versus the United States, the Supreme Court waxed poetic about a very important concept, and that is that the prosecutor's primary role is to seek justice, not simply to win convictions. So although it might appear from TV shows and movies that it's acceptable for prosecutors to win at any cost, the U.S. Supreme Court made it clear that is absolutely not the case. In Imbler versus Pachtman, 1976, the court held that prosecutors have absolute immunity from civil liability for starting and pursuing a criminal prosecution. So if someone wants to sue the prosecutor who handled a case against them and they want to sue the prosecutor for $1 million for defamation of character or harm to their reputation or something like that, that would be a civil case for monetary damages, prosecutors have absolute immunity from getting sued for cases like that. Also, prosecutors have qualified immunity for advice that they give to the police. That was a 1991 case called Burns versus Reed. And another important case involving prosecutorial ethics is Calino versus Fletcher, 1997, which stated that a prosecutor can get sued for lying in an affidavit to support an arrest warrant. Lawyers are not supposed to lie to the court. They're not supposed to deceive the court. They're not supposed to use faked or altered, fraudulent evidence. It is not acceptable for lawyers to win at any cost. So Calino versus Fletcher clarified that it's not just in the courtroom that prosecutors have to follow the ethical rules. They can get sued if they lie in an affidavit in order to support an arrest warrant. Please feel free to post in the comments your questions about criminal law or related topics that you would like to see covered in a future video. I cannot provide legal advice about specific cases or situations, but I can offer general legal information for educational purposes. Law students, paralegal students, criminal justice students, and pre-law students, as well as people working as paralegals or in the criminal justice field, are the main audience for these videos, but everyone is welcome to learn about American law and our legal system. Please remember to subscribe so you can get notifications when I post a new video. Subscribing won't cost you anything, but it can help me to reach more people with these educational videos. Thank you. If you liked this video, you might like the next video called Defense Attorneys in the Criminal Justice System.